Welcome to the College Admissions Collaborative, highlighting Engineering and Technology College Fair. We're so excited to have you participating in this event. We have some fantastic schools here with us today. My name is Nashira, and I will be your facilitator. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot hear you or see you. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the schedule on the website. This presentation is being recorded and will be available at strivescan.com/CACHET. I'd now like to turn it over to Wentworth Institute of Technology.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Emily Casey. I am an Assistant Director of Admissions here at Wentworth. And we are so appreciative that you took some time out of your day to learn more about Wentworth, especially through these Zoom information sessions. So we are going to spend some time learning about Wentworth's academics, our hands-on learning, our co-op program, and then we're going to end with some information about our admissions process. Throughout this time, you're going to hear from me as a staff member, but I'm also joined here with one of our students, Parnia, who is going to chime in a little bit about her experiences as a student. So Parnia, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Parnia. I'm originally Persian. I'm an admissions ambassador, a community standards board member, and also an RA. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have. And yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention my major. Sorry. I'm a junior in business management, by the way.
Perfect. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to get the screen up and then we'll be good. There we go. All right. So introduction to Wentworth, we were founded in 1904, originally as a technical institution, really focused on furnishing education in the mechanical arts. So we have since grown from that. We have about 4,400 total undergraduate students at Wentworth. You can see kind of a breakdown of where our students are coming from or what those demographics might look like. And those students are split up between 5 different schools. So I'm sure there's, between the group of students that are on this call right now, I'm sure there are a wide range of interests. So we will go through each of these schools so you know exactly what type of programs we do offer here at Wentworth. But it's important to note that we have our School of Architecture and Design, our School of Computing and Data Science, our School of Engineering, our School of Management, and then also our School of Science and Humanities. I also just want to mention that while we are doing this, you are welcome to submit questions to us in the Q&A feature and in, we'll be sending some stuff in the chat throughout, but definitely submit stuff through that Q&A and I will go ahead and answer those at the very end of the presentation. We'll save some time for that. So going through our schools, to start with our School of Architecture and Design. So in this school, it is broken up into 3 different programs. We have our architecture program, our industrial design, and then also our interior design program. It's important to note our architecture program is a 4+1. It's actually our longest standing 4+1 program. So if you are interested in obtaining your Master's of Architecture, we do offer that in that kind of shortened, abbreviated 1-year version where students are able to, like I said, complete that Master's within a 1 year. That's typically a 2 or 3 year program. If you are interested in the field of architecture, it's also important to know that that master's degree is required for professional licensures down the line. So I know a master's degree might be something that seems really far away right now, but if you're considering architecture, it's just important to know that that is something that eventually might be required for your licensures. Next up is our School of Computing and Data Science. So here we have our applied mathematics, computer networking, computer science, and cybersecurity programs. Our School of Engineering is our biggest school and offers 8 different disciplines of engineering. So we have biological engineering, biomedical engineering, civil, computer, electrical, electromechanical, mechanical, and then we also have a program that is just engineering. So if you're not really sure which of these 8 disciplines you might fall into, sometimes it is nice to know that we have a program that is just engineering. You're welcome to stay in that program for all 4 years or potentially move throughout these 8 disciplines, maybe at a concentration, maybe at a minor. I think it's just nice to know that you don't have to necessarily set yourself in one of these disciplines right away. It's okay if you don't necessarily know where in engineering you want to be, but you know engineering is the place for you. Then we have our School of Management. So we have business management, computer information systems, and construction management. And then lastly is our School of Science and Humanities, which houses our applied science program that does satisfy any type of pre-med requirements that you might need. And then we also have computer science and society as a program. This is our newest major. We have our first group of incoming students this fall. They have started with us. It is a computer science degree where you'll be earning some of those technical skills in computer science, but the other half of it really does focus on humanities. So our students are spending more time looking at how to apply computer science and really kind of position it at real world problems and how can they better leverage computer science technology to solve some of those problems. It's also important to note, I mentioned architecture as being our longest standing 4+1 program, but these are the other 4+1s that we currently offer. They are growing really quickly, so there might even be more programs by the time you are looking and considering an optional master's program, but it's just important to know that we do have these kind of +1 programs that you can start looking at, typically opting into your junior or senior year at Wentworth. All right, so before we get into more of the academic pieces and our model here at Wentworth, I'm gonna ask Parnia just to talk a little bit about why she chose Wentworth. It wasn't too long ago that she was in your shoes going through the college search process. So I'm gonna have her talk a little bit about what stood out to her when she was looking at Wentworth.
So for me, many different factors came into play. I knew I want to be in Boston. I really liked the co-op program, especially for my major as a business major. It's really important to have that experience because what you learn in the classroom is just so different from what you actually see in the workplace. So I really liked the co-op program, and also the fact that Wentworth was a small school was really appealing to me. Because for me, I really enjoy hanging out with people, getting to know them. I didn't want to be in a lecture with like 100 students. So I really like that Wentworth was small.
Yeah, awesome. And we're definitely going to continue talking about some of the pieces that Parnia just mentioned. So first off is our approach to hands-on action-oriented learning. So Wentworth definitely focuses more on project-based learning. If you're looking at the majors that we offer, I think you can assume and expect us to take this approach, right? So if you're wanting to study computer science or engineering or construction management, a lot of those things are going to be better taught in a space like a lab or a workshop or a studio space. Most of them aren't going to want to sit through a lecture like Parnia mentioned. So we really do have this hands-on action-oriented approach to our academics. We also have spaces like maker spaces on campus that are really meant for all students across all disciplines to take advantage of, work together on, whether that's, working on a project or, learning how to use the 3D printers and learning from your peers. So that maker space, it's called Accelerate on our campus, is one of the big ones for our students where they're able to just kind of play with these pieces of technology and really grow their skill set through more of, like I said, that hands-on learning model. Parnia, do you want to talk a little bit maybe about your favorite project you've been able to do in class or favorite way you've been able to do some hands-on learning in your business program so far?
Sure. So in one of my classes, I had to do an interview with an entrepreneur, and I had to make connections too. So my professor told me I shouldn't know that business person beforehand. So I reached out to some of my friends, and then they connected me with a professional business person. Then I had an interview and got to know them. It was amazing because hearing about people's experience is really cool when it comes to business and like their advice. So that was my favorite project so far.
Yeah, awesome. So probably the most important thing to know about Wentworth, I think Parnia has mentioned it already, is this co-op program that we have here. So Wentworth is a co-op institution. For us, that means our students are all across every major required to complete 2 full semesters of a co-op. If you are not familiar with the term co-op, it is similar to an internship, except at Wentworth, it is going to be full-time. So you're working about 32 to 40 hours a week in a job related to your field of study. So something that's going to directly benefit and impact you professionally. It also is going to be a paid position, most likely. So we really encourage our students to only accept paid positions. I would say there's a very small number of students that would accept an unpaid position, but for the most part, our students are only working a paid co-op position. And essentially your responsibility for those 2 full semesters is to grow your professional skill set and grow your professional network. So our students, like I said, are working these full-time jobs in their field, gaining this experience, and they have to do it twice. So once your junior year and once your senior year, you're not taking classes and you're not paying tuition. The other huge benefit is that these co-ops can be completed anywhere. So if students want to stay in the Boston area, we are biased to Boston and think it's a great place if you are studying technology or STEM or design or business. Those are some of the biggest industries in Boston itself. So we are in a great position to support you through a co-op search and placement that way. But you also don't have to. So if you are from the West Coast or live a little bit further away, you're welcome to live at home and commute to a job. We've had plenty of students who have a dream company that they've always wanted to work for. And if that company is able to offer you a spot, let's say out in their Chicago office, we want our students to be able to take advantage of whatever the best professional opportunity is. And so for some students, that means going to a new city. So it's definitely an option for students to kind of do some travel and see some new places if it means you're going to get a great professional experience. All of this is really built to have our students kind of have the best outcomes possible when they graduate. So you can see here, our students have an average starting salary of $64,000. And within 6 months of graduation, 96% of them either have a job or are in a graduate degree program. Those 2 things combined with a couple other factors is what earns us that number 3 ranking for career preparation in the Northeast. So again, this co-op program is really central to who we are at Wentworth. It is really the foundation of our academic model here. And you can see on the bottom that our students are earning some really impressive co-op positions at really well-known and world-renowned companies. This is what that schedule looks like and how we're able to do it in 4 years. So our students are going out on that spring and fall semester of junior and senior year. We just flip-flop when they're taking classes. So that summer of your junior and senior year, you're actually taking classes with us because you weren't taking any in those fall and spring co-op semesters. We also have students that opt for a 3rd co-op and do that the summer of after their sophomore year. So just know it is possible to do 3 full co-ops. Liv is one of our students who actually did all 3 of her co-ops. She did that optional 3rd one at Hasbro. She recently graduated this past August with us, but she did all 3 of her industrial design co-ops at Hasbro in their model shop and their product design shop. So she just had such ample amounts of experience when she graduated because she completed so much time there. I'm going to let Parnia kind of talk a little bit about her co-op experiences and why she chose a co-op school. I know that co-op is different here at Wentworth and also really unique. So please send questions in the Q&A if you do have any specifically about co-op too.
So as a junior, I haven't done my co-op yet. I will be on co-op next semester, in the spring semester. I started applying like a week ago. At first, I met with my advisor. We had a couple of meetings. We worked on my resume. Once we were done with my resume, I started applying, and he helped me how to use Wentworth, which is our school's website. I started applying on Wentworth. I got 2 interviews so far. One of them was today. So we'll see how it goes, but I started applying, and my advisor helped me with my interview resume. They also told me how to do my cover letter. So I hope I can get one hopefully soon.
Awesome, Party. If you only started applying this week and already had interviews, you are in a great spot for a spring semester co-op. All right, so we're going to highlight some other features of our student life here. things that we just think are important for you to know about kind of our community. So I mentioned earlier, we are a small institution. We're about 4,500 students total. We do have a 16-to-1 student to faculty ratio with an average class size of 18. It's also important to note that 100% of our classes are being taught by faculty. So we do not have teaching assistants or grad students that are leading these classes. It is always your faculty member teaching you. And these small class sizes, and again, Parnia mentioned this at the beginning, but these small class sizes are really what we're focused on here. We want our students to form these strong bonds and relationships with their professors. We want you to be able to ask questions in class, raise your hand and ask them to go back a slide. It's a lot harder to do if you're in a 300-person lecture hall. So having these small class sizes is really central to us. We want you, like I said, to be able to form those connections with your professors. At Wentworth, we do guarantee housing all 4 years. So you are welcome to stay with us for all 4. We do require that you live on campus with us for the first 2 years. Once you get to your junior and senior year, you are welcome to move off campus. Being in the city of Boston, we do have some really great opportunities for off-campus housing. But like I said, we do guarantee that all 4 years, so you're welcome to stay if you would like. That also includes your co-op semesters. So if you are doing a co-op in the Boston area and maybe you're not from a commutable distance to Boston, you are welcome to still live on our campus, even though you're not taking any classes that semester. We also have a really engaged student body. So we have over 70 clubs and organizations that our students can join right here at Wentworth. We also have the ability to create your own. So there's always, if something is missing from that list of 70, there is a process that you can go through to create a new club on campus. We do have 18 varsity level sports. We compete in the Division III level. So if you are looking for a varsity sport, it is a great option here at Wentworth. All of that goes through our coaching. So you're welcome to ask me questions about it, and we can definitely talk a little bit more about athletics, but our coaches are also a great support system for our students. If you are wanting to stay active on campus, but not compete necessarily at the full varsity level, we do offer club sports, which is a great alternative. And then it's also really important to know that Wentworth is part of something called the Colleges of the Fenway. So our students are able to kind of join this consortium and this partnership we have with 4 other local institutions. So with Emmanuel, Simmons, MCPHS University, and Mass Art, Wentworth being the 5th school. Our students can take classes at any of those institutions completely free. I think that's a huge benefit for Wentworth students specifically because we are so specialized in our fields that our students gain a little bit broader of an academic opportunities through these other schools. Our students can join clubs and organizations at any of these other institutions. And then our students can also join kind of other groups. So intramural sports is run through the Colleges of the Fenway, even less competitive than club sports, more of like a pickup game with some friends. The College of the Fenway also runs our Center for Performing Arts. So any type of music, art, or dance or theater group that you might be interested in would go through the COF. And then lastly, it just is a bunch of extra resources for our students. They can use some of the library spaces, the gym facilities, the cafeteria spaces, and some of the other dining halls. Our students get student discounts across the city of Boston because of this partnership. So there are some great opportunities because we have these connections with these other schools. We're also physically all right here. So it really is our neighborhood and our block. They're all within a square mile of each other. So it just kind of enhances that college community that you have. Parnia, do you want to talk a little bit about how you've chosen to get involved at Wentworth? I know you are a busy student around campus. So do you want to talk about some of those student groups?
Sure. So I'm a resident assistant. I help residential students find their own community, feel that they belong here technically. So I host different programs in this building and get to know my residents a little. I'm an admissions ambassador. Obviously, I do tours too. I'm involved in Visa, which is the Wentworth International Student Association. And I find many friends through those clubs too. I'm also involved in ASA, the Asian Association, the Asian Student Association. I also made amazing friends in that club too.
Just a couple of things on your plate, just one or two. So we're not going to spend too much time on these offices necessarily, but they're just important to know that they exist on Wentworth campus. So we have our Success Studio, which is our hub for academic advising and academic support. They'll also oversee our tutoring program. So if any student either needs professional tutoring or peer tutoring from some upperclassmen in their fields, we offer that all through our Success Studio. And then we have our library and learning commons. This is a really great physical space on campus for our students. It was renovated back in 2016, and the students, especially given our students' interest in things like architecture, interior design, and construction, played a huge part in this. They actually had a huge say in that layout. So there's spaces for group studying, kind of private rooms that you can always sign out and use for yourself or for a group. So it is a great space for our students. And then our Center for Health and Wellness. So our students are able to access counseling through this office, or also just general health education programs and wellness education programs. Especially during that first year, it can be a stressful transition to go from a high school student to a college student. So those are definitely just some of the key offices that are going to help with that transition. And then, of course, we are in Boston. We have mentioned this a couple times already for you, but Boston really is a great place to go to school if you are not familiar with it. We are in the Fenway neighborhood. We are less than a mile from Fenway Park, so it's a really exciting place to go to school. We have a 31-acre campus, so I think we do also have best of both worlds here, where our students have this campus to call home, but at the same time, take one step off campus and you are within the city of Boston. There are 35 colleges and universities within city limits of Boston. Comes out to about 500,000 college students in the city. So the city is really meant for college students, whether you are interested in sports, if you're interested in the arts, we are right across the street from the Museum of Fine Arts. All the different student activities that happen, further into the city, in the shopping centers, or along the Charles River. There's a ton going on kind of all the time. We're also situated right between the Orange Line and the Green Line on the MBTA system. So if you're familiar with that, it's a great opportunity for students to either get further into the city or maybe a little further out of the city. Pernia, do you want to talk about your favorite parts of going to school in Boston, especially being an international student, any type of perspective there?
Sure. First of all, Boston is one of those international cities, so it's definitely better than some other states as an international student, I would say. But my favorite places in Boston is definitely Boston downtown and the Italian North End neighborhood. I love that. And the Fenway area, like restaurants here, are also so nice.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely luck out with the food in our direct neighborhood. All right, so from here, we're going to transition a little bit more into the specifics of our admissions and financial aid process and timeline. So just so you know, Wentworth does have 3 different types of application deadlines. We have early action round 1, which has a deadline of November 15th, early action round 2, which has a deadline of January 15th, and then regular decision has a deadline of February 15th. Up on the screen here, you can also see what your notification date will be. So if you apply on or before November 15th, you will hear on December 15th, and then so on and so forth. You can see that one would be February 15th for our second deadline, and April 1st for our regular decision students. None of these are binding deadlines. So there is another term and deadline that exists at some other institutions called early decision. That is a binding deadline, meaning if you are admitted on that type of application, you have already agreed that you will go to that university. So you can only apply early decision to one school. We do not offer early decision here. So you have until May 1st, which you can see in this bottom row. You have until May 1st to make any type of decision and let us know if you're planning to attend or not. All of our first year students who are coming right from high school are applying right through the Common App. If you're a transfer student, there are some other deadlines. You can see that on the right here. And if you are a transfer student, you're actually not using the Common application, you're applying right on our website. All right, so these are the actual pieces we need from you in order to have a completed application. So we need your application itself, and here at Wentworth, that will be to your specific major. So you do have to have a major coming in. We do not have an undecided option. And like I said, that will most likely be the Common App if you are a first year student. If you're a transfer, that would be right on our website. We'll get your high school transcript sent over from your high school office. We do require 2 letters of recommendation. Those have to be academic based. So whether it's a counselor or a teacher or 2 teachers, just keep in mind we do need the academic perspective. If you would like someone else to speak on your behalf, whether that is a coach or a mentor or a boss or a supervisor or anything like that, you're welcome to add in additional ones, but we do still just need to have the 2 that are academic. We'll get your extracurricular activities and any type of other information you want us to know will come right through the Common application. My piece of advice here is not to sell yourself short. If you work, a 15-hour-a-week part-time job, don't leave that off. That's definitely valuable information about how you're spending your time. Make sure you're putting that in. If you are, babysitting your younger siblings for 3 or 4 hours until your parents get home from work, again, that's super important. You're dedicating a lot of time to that. So let us know really how you're spending your time and show us what your actual interests and passions are. It's also important to note, because of our programs here, we do have a math requirement for certain majors. So pre-calculus is required for any engineering program, computer science, cybersecurity, applied math, or applied science. Anything else, any of the other majors or programs, you'll just need to have Algebra 2 completed. But like I said, it's engineering, computer science, cybersecurity, and then applied math or applied science for pre-calculus requirement. If you're graduating and you will not have pre-calculus, send me a separate message and we can talk a little bit more about that. We might have some options for you in terms of still applying. Definitely still apply to your program, and we'll just talk a little bit about getting pre-calculus done before the school year starts in September. And then a big hot topic for this year, we are test optional. We were actually test optional before the pandemic, so that is not changing for us. It will not be changing moving forward. We will be test optional. So if you want us to submit your test scores, you'll just mark that on the Common App, and we will not review your application until we get those scores in, if that is what you want. If you do not want us to review your test scores, you can just mark that off on the Common App, and we will review without them. You are considered for admission and for scholarship the same caliber as students who do submit scores. If you are someone who is an international student or a transfer student, there are a couple other application materials we might need from you, but that is really specific to your kind of education path. So feel free to check in with us, and again, throw it in the Q&A if you are or want me to talk a little bit more about that, and I'm happy to. And then this is kind of what we're looking for in this admissions process. So we're looking for ballpark a 3.5 on a 4.0 scale. It's a solid B or B+ student. We are looking for, challenging yourself in your courses, especially in fields like math, where that's really related to your major here at Wentworth. You can see our average test scores up here. I think it's important to note that we are test optional, so these aren't everyone's test scores. These are the test scores that we received. And then our incoming class is about 1,100 students. Like I said, we have about 4,400 students total. So that is what your kind of breakdown would be for each class. And then tuition and room and board. This is going to be a vague overview of tuition and financial aid. Again, I'm happy to answer any specific questions about this. But tuition and room and board at Wentworth combined comes out to about $52,000. There are 2 different types of financial aid that are applied to that, though, or can be applied to that. So first would be your merit aid. This is based on your application. Wentworth considers all applicants for a merit scholarship. And if you are awarded one, you would find that out right at the time of admission. So in your acceptance letter, if you were awarded a merit scholarship, it'll be right there in that acceptance letter. Those merit scholarships are renewable for 4 years, and will have a certain GPA that you just have to maintain in order to get that every single year. The other type of financial aid is need-based. In order to qualify for need-based aid, you must submit the FAFSA to us. This is a very exciting day because the FAFSA opens tomorrow. So this is great timing for you all as a reminder. Typically the FAFSA, every year the FAFSA opens October 1st. It will be very busy on that website the next couple of days. So I always suggest to students within the next couple of weeks, start working on that FAFSA and getting those sections filled out. Wentworth is doing financial aid workshops. So if it is your first time filling out the FAFSA and your family's first time filling out the FAFSA, I would recommend signing up for that on our website. It is a meeting with our financial aid team, walking through everything you might possibly want to know about the FAFSA, going through the different pieces of information you're going to need, what personal information you want to have on hand. The FAFSA can be really overwhelming if it's the first time you're filling it out. So let us know if you have questions or attend one of those workshops. I think it is really helpful. But you do have to submit that by March 1st. I always suggest to students to submit that in the fall when you're doing your application anyway, or on those January, February deadlines. And then for anyone in the room who is not currently in their senior year, so if you are a junior in high school or younger, Wentworth is really excited to be bringing pre-college programs to our campus this coming summer for any high school students. So we will have these different summer camps that are on campus in fields like science, engineering, and design. So if it's something you're interested in, just keep an eye out. We will have more information coming soon, but we are really excited to bring you to our campus a little bit earlier and kind of expose you to what a STEM career or what one of these programs might look like for you as early as, in your high school career. All right, so from here, I am going to stop sharing because I've thrown a lot of information at you so far, and me and Parnia I've kind of told you some of the basics and an outline about Wentworth, but we really want to answer the questions that you have. So I am just going to start going through some of these, but feel free to continue sending them in as I answer the ones that I already have here. And I'll be happy to spend some time on them. Someone had sent in a question specifically about their application, and I will type you an answer back privately just because it is about your application itself. But I'll double check and see the status of your application if you already submitted it. So I will follow up with you specifically. And then another question asked, if you're allowed to live on campus during breaks as they're an international student, going back home to your country is definitely more costly. And meals available if you're allowed to live on campus. Parni, do you want to talk about that one a little bit?
I know last year due to COVID, we did have the option to stay on campus during Christmas, but I'm not sure about this year. Because usually the campus is closed and all residential halls are closed in a normal year. I'm not sure what their decision would be this year.
Yeah, I think there is some flexibility there. For students, it does depend obviously on which break it is. For winter break, our students are away for a couple of weeks at a time between those semesters. So definitely something that our housing office can kind of work with you to work out your schedule and if you're able to stay or not. Is the Makers Accelerate program Makerspace or a course in entrepreneurship and innovation? Great question. So the Accelerate is a makerspace on campus. We definitely have courses in entrepreneurship. It is actually a minor, or is it a concentration or a minor, Parnia?
It's a concentration.
Concentration. Okay. So it is a concentration. So we definitely have entrepreneurship classes at Wentworth, but Accelerate is actually just a makerspace. So it is a place for anyone across any major to use. It's physical lab spaces themselves. So they're using, different manufacturing pieces of equipment, kind of working through entrepreneurship and innovation skills. It also is incredibly interdisciplinary. So our students that are working in Accelerate have to work with students across other majors. If you're working on a product idea that you have or a company that you have, we make sure that you're looping in students from other majors so that you're getting these diverse perspectives who are going to think of problems that you weren't necessarily thinking of. An example of a product that came out of there is called the Gen 2 vest. And it was a biomedical engineering student paired with an industrial design student. And they both saw a need of cancer patients that were doing at-home treatments often had to carry around chemotherapy bags in like a duffel bag, and that made it really hard for them to go about their day while they were getting at-home treatments. So the industrial design student designed a vest that patients would be able to wear, and the biomedical student made it so that those kind of infusion treatments would still meet the medical protocols that they needed to, and kind of satisfy the biomedical engineering elements of that vest. So it's a space like that where students have these product designs, they get funding through Wentworth, they get to keep all the rights to their products and companies, but we actually give them like the funding or the physical space to make that product happen. So it is a really great space. Entrepreneurship classes tend to use that space and really utilize it, but we offer both. Yeah, there's a really great question here asking about male demographics and breaking barriers for women in STEM. This is something we are super passionate about at Wentworth. You have me and Parnia here, which is a great representation of that. But we are, so to start, we have a stronger or higher male percentage of students on our campus. We do have several groups on campus that I think are great for our women who, you know, want to get more involved in STEM or just pursuing their STEM educations and careers. So we have a women's council specifically that works on women-centered initiatives. This fall, we have a women's overnight program. So if you are a prospective student, we are offering an overnight to come stay on our campus on November 7th and, you know, shadow classes and talk with current students. So we're definitely, our women's council is working on organizations like that. We also have our Society for Women Engineers, which is a really active group on our campus as well. So obviously focuses just on engineering, but another great women in STEM kind of presence on our campus. I also will note they did a study with our students a couple years back, but they were looking at leadership positions on campus and seeing what types of students were filling them. And those demographics were about 50-50 split in gender. So while we do have less students that identify as women on our campus, they are really involved in kind of whether that's student government or an RA position or, you know, representing a club in a executive board role. Our women are definitely showing up and kind of getting really involved in our campus culture, whether that's a group meant for women or if it's just a general student organization. They're definitely some of our strongest leaders on campus. Sorry, I'm just reading one of these questions. There was a question asking a little bit more of like a pre-med track. So for someone looking specifically, the students looking to be a gastroenterologist. So if you're looking to go to something that would require more schooling after your bachelor's degree, that's going to be specifically in the medical field. Applied sciences is most likely the route that you want to go, unless you want to work with medical devices. If you want to work more on creation of medical devices, as opposed to doing actual medicine itself, I would say that biomedical engineering is the way to go for the device side of things. But if you want to do more practicing medicine, then applied sciences is going to be the program for you. Like I said, it does satisfy pre-med requirements for medical schools after your time at Wentworth. Yeah, so someone had asked specifically about international students and submitting the FAFSA form. Wentworth currently is not a CSS profile school, and we are not planning to become one. So our students that are international are using their merit scholarship as their financial aid. That's a federal policy that international students don't qualify for FAFSA need-based aid. But we are not a CSS profile school, and to my knowledge, that is not changing. The CSS profile, for those that don't know, is just an additional financial aid form for institutional types of aid. Wentworth does have other types of institutional aid, but there's no application for it. All right, so far I've answered all of the ones that are in this Q&A so far, but let me know if you do have any others. I am also going to put my information in the chat. And I know there was a question too about your application specifically. So if you wanted to talk more about your application, feel free to send that in an email to me and I can get you to the appropriate person. I specifically work with our students that are on the West Coast or students that are more or less in the Middlesex County area of Massachusetts. I will send this in the chat though. If I am not your specific admissions counselor and representative, I will either answer your question anyway, or I can get you to the appropriate person who will better be able to answer your question. That is my email there. So please feel free to send me any questions that you might have. Oh, it looks like one student said they have one last question. So feel free to send that in the Q&A and I will hold off until you send that. Yeah, asking how much a student makes from one semester of a co-op program. It really depends on what your pay is, which I know sounds silly, but it really ranges for our students. They average anywhere from $14 to $25 an hour is our average, and that's an hourly rate for, like I said, typically a 40-hour-a-week job. It also averages, if you want to look at the two co-ops combined, our students on average make $20,000. That's for both. So if you split it evenly, it'd be 10 and 10. $1,000 per co-op semester, but again, it really fluctuates depending on what type of co-op position you take. There are some students that, you know, it's might be a couple weeks longer than another co-op position. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but those are our averages. Is $20,000 for both of them combined. That could be split in a variety of ways, or $14 to $25 an hour on a full-time hour job.
I wanted to add that it also depends on your major.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great to note, Parnia. There are certain majors that, just because of the nature of the field, computer science being, I think, the most well-known one, computer science students are often our highest paid students out there. All right, awesome. It looks like we are all set with questions. I do want to say thank you all so much for joining us. I know that there are a lot of sessions that you could be attending, so thank you for spending some time with Wentworth. Please do not hesitate to reach out if any questions do come up that I can help out with. I also can always connect you to Parnia. She has some great experiences as a student here, and I want to thank her too for spending some time tonight talking to you all. But thank you again. I'm going to turn it back over to StriveScan, who I think has a couple other things for you.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. I really enjoy being a part of your presentation today. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 5-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide. We encourage you to check back on the schedule and sign up for more sessions. You'll be able to find this session's recording as well as all of the other session recordings at strivescan.com/CACHET. Have a great one, y'all. Thank you.